Have you ever left an exam room feeling like you absolutely smashed it, only to get a grade back that just didn't make sense? Well, you are definitely not alone. Today we're going to pull back the curtain and crack the code on the examiner's mark scheme. I'm going to show you exactly how to think like an examiner and make sure you get every single mark you deserve.
So how do they really decide your grade? You can learn all the formulas, you can revise all the content, but getting those top marks, that's not just about what you know, it's about how you say what you know. And to do that, you've got to understand the rules of the game they're playing.
And this right here is the rule book, the official mark scheme. It's basically the secret playbook that examiners use. So today we're going to decode it. And we're going to do it by focusing on just one question from a past paper, question 02, to see precisely what they're looking for.
All right, here's our roadmap for cracking this thing. We're going to dissect question 02 piece by piece. First, we'll look at why a single word matters. Then, we'll dive into a calculation. And finally, we'll explore questions where you actually have a choice of correct answers. Let's get into it.
Okay, first up, question 02.1. This is the perfect place to start because it shows just how much precision matters. In physics, one little word can literally be the difference between getting the mark and getting nothing.
Check this out. This is such a classic examiner move. The accepted answer is nuclei, but they will absolutely not accept atoms. Why? Because nuclear fusion is all about what's happening right at the core, in the nucleus. It seems like a tiny detail, but telling them nuclei proves you have that deeper understanding. It's a signal that you really know your stuff.
But then, sometimes, it's not a tricky detail at all. The second part of the answer for this question is just one simple word, decreases. That's it. No traps, no hidden meaning. It's just a straightforward check of your knowledge.
Right, let's switch gears and talk calculations. This is where your exam technique can be a real game changer. Seriously, it is not just about getting to that final number at the bottom, it's about showing the examiner exactly how you got there.
So this question is worth 3 marks, and you can see exactly where each mark comes from. You get 1 mark just for converting the mass to kilograms correctly. Boom, 1 mark. You get another for plugging the right numbers into the equation. That's 2 marks. The final mark is for the correct answer. This is why you have to show you're working. Even if you have a calculator slip up at the very end and get the final number wrong, you can still walk away with 2/3 of the credit.
And here's a little insider tip for you. You don't always have to write it in standard form. The mark scheme also accepts 1,040,000,000 joules written out in full. So if you're more comfortable writing out all the zeros, just go for it. As long as the number is correct, you get the mark.
Okay, now for a part of the exam that gives you a bit more power, a bit more flexibility. Whenever you see a phrase like any to from, that is a huge clue. It means there isn't just one right answer. There are several. You don't have to read the examiner's mind. You just have to give them 2 valid points.
I mean, just look at all these options. There are 7 totally different, completely valid reasons here on the mark scheme. You could talk about safety risks, or making predictions, or even how the setup cost is lower. You only need to land on 2 of them to get full marks. Just pick the 2 you feel most confident about and write them down.
And finally, let's look at a type of question that uses what I call OR logic. Think of it like a choose-your-own-adventure to get to the right answer. There are multiple correct pathways, and you only need to follow one of them to get the marks.
So here's path number 1. You state that burning the fuel releases carbon dioxide, and then you link it to its effect, global warming. Simple. And notice, the mark scheme even says they'll allow releases greenhouse gases. That gives you even more wiggle room. Or you could go a completely different way. Maybe you focused on particulates. Fine. You can link the release of particulates to either global dimming or to breathing problems. Either one of those outcomes gets you the mark for that second step.
Path 3 is super direct. It's all about sulfur dioxide. The cause? It's released. The effect? It causes acid rain. One cause, one effect. Done. Full marks.
And for the final option, you could have talked about nitrogen oxides. And from there, you add 2 choices for the effect. Link it to breathing problems, or, just like with sulfur dioxide, link it to causing acid rain.
So, what's the big lesson here? What's the takeaway? It's that by understanding how the mark scheme works, by learning to think like an examiner, you can build a way more powerful exam strategy. It's not just about what you know, it's about how you play the game.
So let's just quickly recap. Number 1, be precise. Nuclei isn't the same as atoms. 2, show every single step in your calculations. Scoop up those partial marks. 3, recognize when you've got a choice with those any to from questions. 4. Understand that sometimes there are multiple or paths to the right answer. And finally, the most important one, use old mark schemes when you revise. They are without a doubt the best study tool you have.
So now you know the secret. You know how to think like an examiner. That gives you the power to be more strategic, way more confident, and ultimately, much more successful. So my question to you is, now that you have this inside knowledge, what's the first thing you're going to look for when you tackle your next practice paper?